I'm J.R. Todd.
I'm Antron Brown, and this is The Skinny.
From Fathead Studios in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny. It's time for The Skinny. Once again, two flamboyant characters from the NHRA, two of the brightest stars with the NHRA. We welcome back J.R. Todd, of course, as we talked about before, a champion and funny car, the first African-American to win a funny car event and a championship with NHRA. And then how about the guy that's sitting alongside a three-time champ? Welcome, my friend, Mr. Antron Brown in the house. And boy, have you really done an amazing job as well. You too have won the U.S. Nationals like that guy sitting along beside you. 2012, 2015, an amazing year. 7 wins, 7 number one qualifiers. You set the world on fire. 2012, I think the first African-American to win a major motorsports championship across all divisions. I mean, you really paved the way for a lot of people. I know a lot of people look up at you. Your 22nd year, I believe, in the industry here at a very, very high level. Boy, have you been successful. Welcome to the show.
It's always great to be here. You know, I can't believe I'm finally on The Skinny. I ain't got to work out. I'm just coming to the show. I'm going to leave here skinny, right?
Well, it hasn't worked for us. But
we've been That's why I came back.
Yeah. We've been on here a lot, and it hasn't done anything for us. So
Auto Week ranked you number 1 for the decade. How cool is that?
Wow. I mean, that's just an incredible deal. And I'm just honored just to be a part of it, just to be in the sport, to do what we do. And NHRA, I tell you what, it's been a true blessing to be amongst people like my man sitting next to me right here, JR. And again, being out there with like the Langdons, the Schumachers, the Bernsteins, the Dixons, the Forces, and the Lucases. I mean, you got so many great families out there that have done great things, and just to be mentioned among and be part of something that, that you dreamed as a kid, and to be recognized of doing something that you always loved as a kid is truly an honor. It's awesome.
Yeah, man,
awesome.
You came flying up through the ranks and a skilled driver. You proved that very early on. Coming out of bikes, you were in Pro Stock Bikes, 16 wins there, total of 50 wins inside of the top fuel category. But you did exactly what everybody was afraid of, I think, coming out of the Pro Stock motorcycle ranks. We always saw those guys there that leave so good, and you were one of the best, if not the best, lever inside of the category. You go to fuel, and certainly nothing changed there. You immediately put everybody on notice. These things will leave.
They can leave, and you just got to put the work in. You got to put the work in, and I've always been one of those, I guess it was beat in from my grandpa, man. My grandpa, man, let me tell you something, man. My dad and uncle is like, they gave no false hope. So we had a practice rig at the house growing up, and that's all we worked on. And for me, I'm not one of those type of people that want to come out here to be out here. I'm out here because I want to compete at a high level, and I want to win, and I expect to win. And I want to surround myself with the same people with the same mindset. And if you're with a great group of people that's going that same direction, and they all put the work that you put in, that's when you get those great results. I've been very fortunate with like Brian Karate, Mark Oswald, Brad, all of our Matco, Global Electronic Technology, Toyota gang to really make that happen, man. Like, you get all those type of people together, and man, everybody puts their head down, brother. That's when you're able to start making some unbelievable things happen, and that's what it takes.
you came off the bike, went to work for Mike Ashley, right? Is that
no? David Powers. David Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. That there was one of those deals where it didn't feel real. You get what I mean? Because as a kid, I grew up watching fuel cars, and my family, we were always the sportsman racers. You know what I mean? Like, we went there. I used to see Big Daddy, Kenny, Mark Oswald, Jersey, and all that. Yeah. Used to see all of them. You know what I mean? That used to be like, they were like the untouchables. You get what I mean? Like, you went there and like,
you're in awe.
Like, you're like, oh, like, and then I always say, if I could just get a chance to drive one, you get what I mean? And then Lee Beard at the time, when he was working at Schumacher, you always saw me, the work that I put in on the bike program, like being there, helping them dyno the engines, put the bikes together, build them, designing the chassis, and doing all the stuff I did. I was there early in the morning, never left until late at night. And he goes, kid, that's what I want in a car, because just my mindset. But I was like, I have to get the opportunity. And then when he went to Powers, he became like the GM there, and he had the opportunity to talk to David about it when like Bazemore was out the seat, and they had an intern driver in the car named David Baca. And they're looking for drivers to drive the car, and that's how that all came about, man. It was just like one of those deals where I talked to Lee. Matco's already a little associate deal on my U.S. Army Pro Stock motorcycle at DSR. And I remember telling Don, I said, Don, they're going to give me an opportunity to test the car. He goes, well, go do it, AB. Just don't get your hopes up because there's going to be hundreds of people that's going to be in line for that job. You know what I mean? And I said, well, man, I'm going to give it all I got. And boy, lo and behold, man, I went to Frank Hawley School, got my alcohol license. I went and tested a car in Vegas. And Lee looked at it, he goes, I couldn't tell that you never even drove one of these before because I was burnt out, did all the normal routine stuff. Ain't taking down a track, is doing all the other stuff right to get it to the starting line to take off. And a lot of people don't realize that. And Jay, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Trimming the fuel pump, doing all that stuff, putting reverse, not tearing the reverser up, being smooth. Well, I drove big trucks and stuff like that, semis and all that stuff. So it all goes hand in hand. And then once I got that deal happening, man, that's where it just really took off for me because I was like, is this real? Is this really what I'm doing? And then besides that, like the team, we had a remarkable team, like with Mike Dumagala, Brad Mason, all those guys, these seasoned guys came to one team.
Is Brad still with you?
Brad's still with us.
Yep.
And he's been like that rock there, man.
Yep.
And then the year after that, that's when we got Karate and Oswald, and we became that bond that's just been awesome that we got rekindled back together. So it's just one of those deals where you get together with the right people, it makes it fun. And going forward, I'm just living that dream. Living that dream.
What was that like? You had already been on Pro Stock Bike, very successful there, and knowing how hard those things leave to getting into that fuel car. Do you remember the first time you hit the throttle, what it felt like?
Oh, absolutely. When I hit the gas pedal, I'll tell you what, it got my attention really, really quick. Because the thing about it is, I never felt something that hit like that. But it wasn't the starting line that really got me. What got me is once I got out there past 100 feet, and the car took off again. And then I got to the 250, 300 feet.
The next clutches came in.
It took off harder again while it was already rolling. And then when you got to like 500 feet and the clutch goes 1-to-1, you feel
then it really goes.
And then you're like, oh, snap. Jay told me, it's like, snap, snaps you up, whips you back. And you're like, oh, Lord. And you feel it just floating. He's like, this ain't right. It's like, this car feel like it's off the ground, but it's still moving forward. And it's just sashaying left to right. Is this car coming unglued? Is this the way it's supposed to feel?
I did the same thing my first race in a top fuel car. We used to run, now we run 6-disc clutches. So like they don't really lock up. They just come together real smooth with the engine, you know. And a 5-disc, like they're pretty violent. My first ride was a 4-disc, so it was even more violent than a 5-disc. You know, when those things lock up, like what the hell just happened?
They used to yank the front tire off the
ground.
ground.
Like you think something broke almost. Like this isn't right. They're like, oh no, like that the clutch locked up. Like why'd you lift? Like, well, I've never experienced that before in my life. Like I didn't know what happened. Like, oh yeah, like that's what happens at half track. Get used to it. Like it's a pretty wild feeling for sure. It's almost like taking off again.
It is, and that's the hardest part to explain to people is that at like 290 miles an hour is where our clutch goes 1-to-1. And at that time, the car takes off harder at 290 miles an hour than it did from 0 to 100 miles an hour.
So the G load's harder there.
Yeah, like the G's will kind of level off after we take off, and then once it happens, like it spikes back up even higher.
Kidding. Wow.
Yeah, it takes off about 3.8. Goes in a jiggle, comes down like a hair, and then it starts getting power and clutch come to it, so the G meter will keep on rising. When it goes 1-to-1, it'll snap, and when it snaps together, you're like 5.5 Gs. And you do that at 290 miles an hour.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's when your butt cheeks get tight, and your draws get a couple different colors in them.
Mine's tight just listening to you talk about it.
So, I was getting rung up on my phone, which is not hard to believe. But for all of you that know, Caitlin's transplant's done.
Oh,
Just happened.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Good for
Awesome.
her.
Glad to hear that, man.
Awesome.
And for the fans at home
Yes.
that are tuning in, Caitlin is his daughter who is going through a tough battle with leukemia, and survived a couple of tough rounds of chemo last week and blood transfusion here today. And this is in the midst of the coronavirus where you guys are not allowed in the hospital to
we
even
can't
support
even go
her.
see her.
Yeah.
No.
Tough gig. Well, I'm really happy to hear that. That's awesome. Good for her.
Blessing.
Boy.
True blessing.
Yeah.
True blessing.
Man alive. Anyhow, back to Antron talking about turning his pants other colors. So,
Tear the pants other colors, no.
speaking of other colors, does anybody? And I can't remember. I can't remember who was where then, and I think you were with Powers at the time when Corey Mack's car split in half at Bristol.
Oh, yes. Oof.
Yeah, were you there as well, JR?
I don't think I was there that year for some reason.
If it was 06, I wasn't even racing top fuel
Yeah,
yet.
if it was 06, I definitely wasn't there.
In 2006, at the Thunder
2006.
Valley Nationals in Bristol, Tennessee.
Yep.
Corey
Yeah, we didn't go to
Mack's
this race.
Brand team learned this lesson
I was driving for
firsthand.
Dexter then.
In the second qualifying
Oh, there's
session, Corey
Man,
lined
this
up,
is great
hoping to
quality.
secure a position by laying
What'd
down
they do?
his
It's
quickest
crystal
elapsed
clear.
time of the day.
Yeah,
The
it's
tree
because it's
turns
blown
green,
up.
and Corey launches. But in drag racing, things can change
Vandergriff.
in a heartbeat.
oh
You
man.
have those somewhat moments in your lifetime that are just like, holy, I can't believe this is going to happen. This one's going to hurt. Up over 300 miles an hour, well into our run, and the frame breaks in half behind the driver.
Can you imagine that right there?
That's
just
what I was
staring
getting ready to
down
say.
at the
You're
track?
staring down at the track at 300.
Look at that flame too.
At 300 miles an hour, the frame is flexing in multiple directions from the 5G acceleration.
Yeah,
and
you can
2
see
tons
the
of
jump
downforce
and-
generated
Yeah,
by
there's
the
about-
wind.
the tunnels there
Suddenly,
create bumps. It
Yes.
just upsets the car.
Point. It fractures directly behind the cockpit, triggering an emergency deployment of the parachute.
I go
I
from
remember those cars. You watching go down, and they
Yes.
would just bow
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Man, I
Yes.
mean, big time.
And the heat treating, he started heat treating them, but it made the chassis even more brittle. And I remember distinctly that they went to the bigger wall tubing, and it's a bigger diameter tubing, and
Yeah.
it made the chassis a lot more rigid. I remember when I first started racing the year because that was a transition year, and I drove that car, and we literally put that car up because people started going faster with the new car and testing at Phoenix. We brought the new car out, and it literally went. We went from a 452, same tune-up, same management, put in a new chassis, and went out and went a 448 shutting off because the car just applied so much more power to ground because
Right.
it's so much
Yeah.
stiffer in the
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, why didn't we do this years ago? Because everybody thought flexible. like,
Right.
Where it turned it. Yeah.
It was better because it gave you more traction. It is to a certain degree, but you have to have it sturdy so you can plant and put it to the ground too. So our car's gotten better, quicker, faster, and safer all in the one deal because of that incident right there. I remember it.
For sure.
Progress.
Yes.
I mean, it is, and it's a live testing and tuning session every time you guys go out there.
Knock on wood, I haven't had the experience anything like that, but someone else in the room has. Like, he's another human highlight reel. Like, this guy right here knows.
Oh man.
He knows about that stuff.
Yeah, it's just one of those deals where nobody prepares for it.
Right.
Nobody knows
You
they're going to
can't,
crash.
yeah.
And you don't think about it. You don't know about it. It's like you go down a track so many times without nothing ever going wrong, where your mind's focused on being a gladiator. Like gladiator mode, you're focused on hitting a tree, keeping it in a groove, doing your job, doing everything right. And then it's one of those deals where you get shell shocked. You get what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it literally took me a few races after that incident in 2013 when my car blew up like Corey's did. Like mine blew up. If anybody's ever been in a car accident, right? That is trauma to your mind. It happens very, very fast, but when you're going through it, it takes a long time. Like you go like this, like it hits you and you go, and you're like, oh, and like, oh Lord, there's a car hitting me from the side too. Oh, my head's about to hit the window.
Right.
Oh, the airbag's coming out. Oh Lord Jesus, I see some white dust. Am I in heaven? Oh no, it smells like chemical. That's just the dust from the airbags. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that you see, and you know what I mean. And you're like, all right, All right. I'm like, I'm here. My knee stung up a little bit. I'm here. The dust is settled. Well, when you step on the gas of a fuel car, it takes you through that control trauma every time. And it feels like a car accident because it hits you so hard. You go, it just took off. Like, ooh, there's a 60-foot clone. Oh, it's getting through the jiggle. Oh, Lord, it's coming up on the tire. Oh, darn bump. They can't fix this track.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, what the hell, man? Come on.
And then you get to half track and you hit the trans. It's like, ooh, it's hooked up. Like, God, dog, it's starting to spin the tire. They gotta put this fresh paved asphalt down. They couldn't let it season in. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Like when you start driving now, your brain slows down so much where you start thinking about all these things going down. You can hear the motor whining, the blower. If it's right, you can hear the motor. If it's lean, you can hear if it's dog or if it's limp and it's lazy. So you could tell all these things. You get back and say, it was an okay run. You know what I mean? We missed it by about 6 or 7 hun. You come back and look at time slip. Sure enough, it's like just what you thought. You know what I mean? And straight, smooth, and you feel the car go up and never stop pulling, and it pulled all the way through. Is usually like one of those world record runs because it's not like the car's all over the place. The faster runs are the straightest, cleanest.
Yeah, it gets up on the tire right away, and it's moving.
So who's is Oswald and Karate still doing your stuff?
Yeah, Karate's came back this year, his first year back. He was with Force over there for the last few years.
Okay.
And
which I'm glad.
You know what I mean? And we got him back and I
think I know where that's coming from. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it feels good to have him back with Mark, with Brad, and with the whole group of guys, and you could see like the chemistry just like taking off where it left off and the things that we want to get accomplished.
And it's your deal now.
You know, not yet. Still, everything's underneath the DSR umbrella. It's all Don Schumacher Racing. But hopefully in the near future, I can make that transition and it'll be owned by ABM. So that's what we're working on. I'm glad I owned it at the beginning of this year.
That's what Roger Penske's thinking. Of all years,
for the 500.
The 500 and IndyCar
the first year.
The Speedway, it's like, oh, man.
He's like, and I've already remodeled these 100-plus bathrooms. I thought I was going to get to show these off.
You know, I think they're going to, hopefully they will get back to racing and won't ruin the month of May for Roger, and that can actually be a reboot for a whole Indy and a community, just the Indianapolis community, because we're going to need it. We're going to need to get back to some normalcy because this stuff right now with people staying in their homes and the only ones right now that you better invest in is the grocery store and Walmarts and Myers, brother.
Yeah. And you know, the crazy thing about it is, and we were talking about it before we went on air, was, you know, you think about, I mean, all of us lived through it, 9/11. I mean, it was the most, you know, most traumatic modern day thing that's ever happened to our nation, you know, in one setting. And, you know, one thing about it was there was a lot of unity that came out of that. Mm-hmm. And there was actually people that actually cared about each other. And they figured out, you know what, man, I don't really care who you like in politics or what you like.
Right.
You know what, man, we're both here, and, you know, let's try to make this better with each other, you know, and you know, it kind of feels that way, and it kind of feels like it's coming that way, and it's a lot of the powers that be, the politics, you know, are out the door, and they're trying to work together to fix this thing, and so, you know, I don't know. It's interesting. It's a crazy time. I mean, of course, with us, you know, with the eyewear deal, everything that not everything, I mean, a majority of our ophthalmic frames come from China. So we've been dealing with this for almost 2 months now. And so it's affected us, you know, horribly. You know, we've got a staff here that, you know, that's also my family, you know, and so you move past that, and you know, now it's here. So, you know, I was asked what the effect was on us, you know, so far, and what the outlook would be, and, you know, it's pretty scary. So, but, you know, we're going to work through it. We got an unbelievable group of people that, you know, work with us here, and we just got to figure it out. So if Carl would do anything, it would help. Chris sitting around all the time. So.
I think, Rick, what you're saying there is definitely true. And that's the thing. I think everything, when we go through something tough in life, like we're all going through here in this whole world, not just America, the whole world is, I think what it does is almost like a reset button. And it's not, this is momentary. We know like China's already back up to 100% in manufacturing.
Right.
Is just now we're going to go through our 2-month stint that we
Yep.
got to get through. But one thing that reminds us all the time is that when you talk about politics and stuff, that's the hardest deal because that's what divides all of our people is
Right.
politics.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
What we need to start doing is thinking about the people
Right.
and us
Absolutely.
coming together. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like think about this, like the Brainerd deal. We're talking about Brainerd.
Right.
All those people get out in that zoo.
Nobody knows who what
Nope.
who
No one
is
cares.
or what is.
Don't even care. All they care about is the time that they're sharing with each other and how they're going to get through that 7 days and have an enjoyable time.
If
All
they
right,
got
put
enough,
him-
if
put
they
him
got
on the
enough
ballot.
beer.
Put him on the ballot.
You-
All right.
He's got
all
my
right.
vote.
You got my vote.
But you know, but
You're in.
I'm just saying, and that's what I look at each and every day, and that's one thing about our sport
Yeah.
in NHRA drag racing that brings all the people together because we don't have stuff that divide people.
Right.
Every ticket's a pit pass.
Right.
Everybody gets to come up and see JR, comes John Force,
Yeah.
whoever, myself, and get to come up and we get to relate. That's how it gave us our hopes of a dream to be a reality because we are able to put ourselves in that position because everybody's normal people.
Yeah.
We don't need to be separated from other people.
You
get
know,
what I mean?
you know how Forrest is. You know, he's never gloating or who he is
No.
or, you know, so low key. I'll never forget we went into the zoo and literally they were trying to throw him out. I had my hard card. He didn't, of course, didn't have his
Uh-huh. No,
hard
no
card. You know, he never has a hard card, right?
Yes.
And we're rolling in on a golf cart. The guy's like, well, you can go in. This guy, he's out. I said,
See that banner right there?
that's his name on this race.
Yes.
So he's not out, by the way. So,
Well, think about
but it's exactly what you said. It didn't matter. It's just another person.
yes.
And but yeah, you wouldn't. I don't think anybody's sober enough to know who each other is out there to begin with. So
You know, well, that's that dream we talk about all the time. That American dream, like Forrest Lucas, right? Where
Yep.
did he come from? He was a truck driver.
yep,
A truck driver. Who's John Force? A truck
Same.
driver.
yeah. He was
You
a
get what I
trash
mean?
truck
Yeah, grew up in
driver
a
at
truck
that.
driver.
Who was Ken Stout? Truck driver.
You know?
Rico, truck
Still
driver.
a truck driver.
Hey, I am too. My family, you know, my grandpa started
Oh, that's right, you were a
septic
truck driver.
business. Septic business. I grew up driving dump trucks, track hose, backhoes, pumping out.
One man's crap's
Hey,
another
Shit.
man's
That's
treasure.
right. Another man's gold right there.
We were number one in the number two business. All right, that's what I tell people. And look, people goes like this. Hey, B man, why you sign like that? You're happy when you sign autographs. I said because every time I sign an autograph, that means I'm out here signing an autograph and I ain't pumping a honeydew tank. That's why I said I'll sign all day, boy. Till that hand comes off. Trust me. Shoot, I said, because you people don't smell bad, but they open them septic tanks, boy. Woo, they got a different stench to them, boy. Shoot, we called it black gold. I want to stay here with the right gold. Let me sign with this black Sharpie. Come here.
You know, speaking of dad, your grandfather and your father both raced, right?
Yep, and my uncle. My uncle still races to this day. He just won, he actually just won the Dutch Classic last year at
No
Maple
kidding.
Grove.
That's a big
Yeah,
race.
and top dragster. So my uncle just, matter of fact, he just literally a day ago, he just turned 67. So he's still out there doing his thing, lighting it up, man, racing. Looks like he's only
Well,
50.
he's got 3 years to catch Forrest.
Hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
Can
yeah.
you believe
He's
it?
got, he's got plenty of race wins, but ain't got nothing like Force.
And
though.
about another 20 plus to catch Chris
Well,
Karamazini,
I just
That's
yeah.
the Greek.
That's the biggest. That's the best kept secret in drag racing, isn't it?
Age
Does anybody know
unknown.
how old he really is?
Hey, you keep racing, it keeps you young.
Yeah,
You
man.
get what I mean? People think I'm like 28 all the time. I said
That-
my daughter's 20.
That's what I say about Snake. Like
18.
he's always, off-road racing now. He's into those UTVs and all that. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's good for you, man. It keeps you young. Like he's active in that. He's always sending me pictures. Hey, man, check this out. That's good.
Yeah.
Like he's not sitting at home just thinking about the older days. Like nope, he can't wait to go to Baja and race that thing. Like that's what I want to do when I get to that age, not race a fuel car. I'd like to stay active in racing.
Well,
Just-
you had an experience doing that, did you not?
it was an experience, all right.
Come on, you got to let us have
Yeah,
that.
so Morgan Lucas and I think it was 2007, like get to go to Baja. I'm like, yes, like I love off-road racing.
Yes.
Grew up watching, Ivan the Iron Man Stewart. Like,
Yes,
that was
the
my
man.
hero when
It's
I
the
was
man.
a kid. Every year at Toyota Day, like he walks in the room like, holy cow, there's Iron Man. Like,
I used to play that video game.
right,
Remember that?
yeah.
I used to play that video game.
So like somehow this opportunity comes up like, hey man, you guys want to drive a Class 1 buggy? I'm like, absolutely. Get to go to Barstow or Baker, somewhere like that, and test it. Like that was fun. So then we get to Mexico. Then you realize, like, all these other teams that you're with or competing against, like, they basically have enough stuff to build another car if they need to, like, if it crashes, breaks out.
yeah.
We had, like, a spare tire. Hey,
That sounds good.
we were not prepared for this at all. So Morgan's going to drive, like, the first leg. I think there was, like, 4 or 5 of us that were going to switch off driving. I was a co-pilot, which I do not like. Because no, like, you're not in control. Like, you're just over taking a beat. Like,
Right seat is not good.
Yeah, like he's running over stuff. Like, like I wouldn't have done that if I were driving. But anyways, we get, I think, 120 miles in, and Morgan runs over a rock and just, like, rolls it over. Like, no big crash, just rolls over on its side. Well, the problem was, like, get it flipped back over. So eventually, I think someone stopped, another competitor. We hook up a tow strap to it, and he pulls us back over. Well, like, all the oil and everything, like, ran up to the plug, so you had to pull the plugs out, clear it all out, and all that, whatever. So then we get going maybe another 70 miles or whatever, and the thing backfires. Like, what the hell was that? Crank it up, boom, big old fireball. 'Cause it's dark by this time. Like, literally, like, it blew the manifold off the thing, right? Like, Morgan just keeps cranking it because we, like, the engine's behind us. We can't see what's going on. Like, he's just feeding
JR's
it.
like, dude, we got a burst panel.
Yeah, like, he's just feeding it fuel, and the fire's getting bigger. Like, oh boy, it's time to get out. Get the fire extinguishers out. And
We
put
get
this
it run, it'll blow the fire out. Don't worry.
right, like put this thing out, and then, like, we're out in the middle of nowhere, and all we have is a sat phone. Talk to the guys that we were with. So, like, other people will come up every now and then, like, oh, you don't have the stuff to fix this? Like, are you kidding me? Like I said, all we have is a spare tire. We don't have another manifold or injector or whatever to put on this crap. So that was my short experience with the Baja 1000, which I was so pumped about because it was the 40th anniversary. They were going to Cabo, I think, straight shot. It wasn't a loop or anything. Like, dude, I cannot wait to get to Cabo and party. Like, nah, Ensenada was basically my trip. But I mean, it was a learning experience.
That's the start.
Yeah, exactly. That is the start.
So that was the Met 150 you ran.
Yeah, pretty much. We dominated that 100 miles. Yeah. The one cool thing though, like, so down there, everybody has horns on their cars and trucks on there. Like, basically, it's like courtesy. You get a couple beeps, get the hell out of the way. If not, like, then they're gonna start hitting you.
It's a nerf. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
some of the trails down there, like, there's not room to get over. Like, I'm like, Morgan, get the hell out of the way. Oh, I can't. All of a sudden, bam, bam, bam. Finally finds a place to pull over. Robbie Gordon. Oh, I'm like, well,
Yes.
that was cool, I thought. Like,
Just got nerfed by Robbie Gordon.
It's got punted.
JR's like, that's cool. Morgan's like this.
you're right.
Oh, man.
We had him, man. We shouldn't have let him go.
Yeah, like, I never saw him broke down. When did we pass him? Because the trophy truck started running us, right? But he was gone. Like, I thought that was cool. Like, we just got punted by Robbie Gordon.
For years, I've covered short course off road, and we were out at a track, and Carl Rennezetter was there with his. At the time, he had a trophy truck.
Yeah.
And he had it on display. And after the event was over, he said, "Come on, man, you ever rode in one?" I said, "No, I've never been in one." So I don't remember what track we were at, to be honest with you, but I want to say down in Chula Vista maybe. But he fires this thing up, and you'll climb inside, and everybody, we're strap in, and we take off, and it's a pretty smooth road, and we're just cruising like 50 or 60 miles an hour just right at the edge before we get to the desert. So we're getting closer and closer, and there's these big washes that you're talking about. It's like a whoops section for Supercross, except it's in the desert, and it's a wash section, and the whoops are twice as big and 3 times farther apart, and it's just these huge things, and I'm like, oh, man, he's going to have to check up here. So we get close to it, and he puts it on the floorboard. I'm like, oh,
Right.
I'm like,
can
this
it do it?
This isn't
You're
going
like,
to go good
you see
here,
that?
man. Like, I don't know about all this.
It's
And
like
it
butter.
did like a dirt bike, man.
Butter.
He hit the first one, and it just went pop, 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 pop,
Yeah,
pop over
butter.
the top, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I get goosebumps talking about it. It was
Yes.
unbelievable how good that suspension worked. Unbelievable.
Yeah, when you said you better pony up, throttle down. Ain't throttle off, it's throttle down when you see stuff like that. I know that for
Absolutely.
sure.
That's like Crew's been talking about when he was in the trophy truck, and when he was going up one of the great big hills. He said he got up to the top.
No, he was in a short course truck.
Or a short
Okay.
course
Yeah, he
truck.
was in a short course truck, and he's been, Corey Cruzman. He's been coaching these guys in short course for a number of years, So they finally say, you know what? Have you ever been in one? He's like, no. Why don't you hop in one? Because I think he was giving Tony Stewart a hard time. And,
him and Newman. No, Stenhouse. Him and Stenhouse.
Yeah. So they put him in a truck, and he when you go off of those jumps, it's completely blind.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't know what's on the other side. You just going up in the blue sky. And he said, "Man, I'm in this thing." He said, "And I think I'm throttling down." He said, "I think I got about 2 inches of air and landed on the flat. I didn't even make it to the bottom side."
He said he went over one of them and ripped the back bumper off of it because he didn't clear it enough. He ripped it off.
Yeah, it's a different animal. The short course stuff I'm really familiar with. That's a different deal and so much fun. I mean, if you guys get a chance to get in one of those, man,
it looks like fun because you don't get in trouble for beating and banging. They're ripping the body panels off those things every time they're out on the track.
Yeah.
Dude, they roll
take the
them.
gloves off.
They roll them and they roll them back over. Or if they roll enough to get back on all four,
going.
hell, they just hammer it
Stand on
down
the
and
throttle.
keep rolling.
That's what I'm talking about.
Fans love it. They
let
go
it eat.
crazy. Man.
Let it eat. Let it eat.
We asked Rico Abreu. We asked him. We said, would you do it? He goes, I'd hammer it.
There's not much he wouldn't hammer. Anything he gets in, he's ripping it for sure. He's fun to watch.
Talented dude.
Absolutely.
For sure.
He is.
He can wheel
Yes,
a car.
he is.
Thanks for watching this episode of The Skinny. Be sure to check out all the latest sun and optical eyewear at fatheads.com. Special thanks to our sponsorship partners at Elliott's Custom Trailers and Carts. This has been a production of Fathead Studios. Please remember to subscribe.